Gonna, it's lovely to meet all of you. I did get some information, a little bit of information about all of you. And I'll just briefly introduce myself. So my name is Joanna Kleinman. I am a psychotherapist and I am also a coach. And I wrote a book called Dethroning Your Inner Critic. And that's also the name of my podcast. And Maria actually participated in my program called Mastering Your Mind. And so when she asked me to pitch in for her, while she was on maternity leave, I mean, of course, I would do anything for her. She's amazing. So I guess what I would love to just find out from you guys, is just a little bit about, we've got 3 sessions together. And one of the things that, right, my expertise is really in helping women to unhook from what I call your conditioned automatic mind. Okay. And I believe that we are never able to get rid of what our minds have been saying to us forever. Okay. So that really, it's not even about changing that automatic programming that, by the way, we have like 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, right? So rather than trying to change that narrative, okay, what I'm really interested in is having you be able to so clearly distinguish the difference between, right? I often put it on the palm of your hand, right? That automatic mind, right? That is rooted in fear and doubt and what if, and trying to ward off rejection or failure or inadequacy, right? That's all rooted in the automatic mind. But how can we actually build a muscle to so clearly see that voice and to so clearly see that we are actually separate from that voice, that when it starts speaking, we're able to unhook from it and step into what I call a rewired mind with entirely different thoughts that tap into entirely different emotions. And those emotions produce entirely different behaviors that translate into different results for our lives. So that's the umbrella of, right, my perspective. I created a methodology called the Mind Method, which I can get into a little bit later in the session, but that's sort of the lens through which I coach. So having said that, I would love to hear a little bit about you, why you are, right, why you came to this program that Maria leads, and what you're interested in accomplishing for yourself. So who would like to go first?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
So my name is Sam. I know I need to change my Zoom name because it says my full name and it's like way too formal. But my name is Sam. I am an entrepreneur, and long story short, I'm really just working with Maria to figure out how I can reduce my burnout and work less and have space for more of what I want to do in my life.
Okay, that's great. So when you say, I'm actually going to just take some notes here on the computer. So when you say have space for other things in your life, what are you talking about? What are you referring to specifically?
Yeah, so spending more time with family, reading a lot more. I try to like stay on top of my reading goals, but I prioritize work a lot. So work is kind of like my kryptonite. Like I just like, just always working, I feel like, and I really love it. So Yeah, just having space for more, like going out to eat at fun restaurants, spending time with friends and family, reading, exercising more, getting out more in nature, just things that I probably know that I should do that I just don't make space for right now. And also setting boundaries is something that Maria and I, before she left for maternity leave, we had talked about.
Okay, that's great. All right, I love everything that you're saying, and we are definitely going to be talking about all of this, making space for what it is that you want to do, and most specifically, Sam, like what gets in the way of that. Right, that's a big thing. So thank you. Okay, so that's that. Just before we move on, that's your primary goal, is wanting to figure out that balance between how do I, right, keep designing my business, keep doing what I love, but feeling more balanced in the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Who's next?
You can go next because I think I'm off mute. I'm Megan Attachroot.
Meg or Megan, by the way?
Either one. Most people call me Megan.
Okay.
Maria calls me Meg from college days, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been working with Maria for almost 2 years, and totally saved my career. A day before my second child was born, I accepted a new role, which I'm currently still in, Director of Advanced Practice for Cardiovascular Health at Stanford Healthcare. So I lead a team of about 10 managers, and each of them have a team of about 10 to 15 nurse practitioners or physician assistants that work in the hospital or ambulatory area.
Yeah.
Tons of stress, tons of burnout. I was telling my husband, like, I'm going to give it 1 year, and like, if it's not under control, then that's it. Like, you know, I'm going to throw in the towel and just leave leadership. And Maria's program really helped me. So I've made a lot of progress. Not that everything's perfect. The inner critic work has actually been something that Maria and I have worked on a lot. I really like the Enneagram. I don't know if you guys know about the Enneagram, but I'm a 9 with a 1 wing. And so this like critic, it like really, really rings true for me. And I think I've been able to sort of identify some sort of like theme songs that my inner critic has, and they sort of just come up again and again and again. So it's sort of interesting because when I first started working with Maria, now when I look back, I'm like, oh, those things were so simple, but it really was like controlling my schedule, setting boundaries with my team. That's sort of like set, but now sort of the same inner critic song comes up as I'm sort of working on other things that I want to get comfortable with, like being able to jump into a meeting with like the VP or the chair of surgery and feel comfortable to sort of like engage in discussion and not be so concerned about like, did I say the right thing? I'm doing it wrong. I didn't speak up enough. Like, those are sort of, my inner critic's theme song is probably like, you're doing it wrong or you don't matter. Those are like the 2 things that come up over and over again.
Great. Okay. You're doing it wrong. And what's the second one?
Like, you don't matter. You're not important. You don't matter. Not making, I don't know, it's not necessarily not making an impact, but no one's listening to me. No one, you know, it's like I'm invisible.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we can see in both so far, what Sam and Megan have said, okay, is that there's some sort of fear. Okay. Sometimes we know exactly what it is, right? Like Megan, you identified exactly what that core issue that keeps showing up is. Okay. But often we don't realize that it's really fear that's at the heart of preventing us from having exactly what we want. And we don't distinguish it as our own internal fear because really what we're conditioned to do is look out there. So we look at, okay, what circumstances need to be different, right? How do I control what my boss thinks about me, or what my customers think about me, or what my bank account is, or how my life is going to unfold. How do I control all of that out there? Because out there is what's going to determine how I feel, right? So this is how, like Sam was saying, this is how we lose ourselves, okay? Because automatically, I mean, and this is not our fault, okay? This is conditioning that really goes back millions of years, okay? But what we're focused on is controlling external circumstances to try to make us feel a particular way, which is impossible, okay? So we're seeing a theme here with Sam and Megan. Okay. Now we'll talk to Michelle and Liz and see if we can put together all of that. Okay. And just so you know, the reason why I coach on all of this is because this is the exact muscle that I have to be distinguishing not only every single day in my business and in my life, but sometimes like 100 times in an hour, right? I have to keep seeing my fear and unhooking from my fear and stepping into a different mind, right? Because that fear never goes away. All right. Awesome, Megan. Thank you. So one more thing before we leave Megan. So, what's the vision that you're working on for yourself?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that when Maria and I left it, where I'm trying to get comfortable sort of like managing or leading what I perceive to be sort of like really high performing individuals. In my area, this is mainly like the physicians. So like the surgeons, the physician leaders, the VP, like my executive director. Like I sort of want to be able to like speak up more and lead and guide or be a collaborator alongside those individuals at my organization.
Okay, great. Yep. Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, who's next?
I can jump in. Can you guys hear and see me just fine? I'm in an interesting work setup. I'm home in Colorado, in my childhood home. That's the weird, like sitting next to the bed, crouched in front of a dresser situation. So typically from Seattle, but here in my hometown now. So I met Maria a couple years ago now. Maria and I used to teach together at a studio in New York City. And we met at a really cool retreat focused on the Gita. So lots of, cool conversations about life and spirituality and all the things. And, Maria is amazing. I started working with her back in the fall around September, I believe, like August, September timeframe. And at the time, I had very shallow symptom-focused goals. Like, Maria, I'm so burnt out. This is crazy. I work in big tech. Specifically, I'm a product manager at Amazon focused on Alexa and like the AI ML side of things. So I work with like a lot of researchers and engineers on the day-to-day. So when I came there, I was like, oh, I have this intense burnout. I just need a way to be able to like not work on Fridays. I just need more time back. Like it was very much, I have a cut on my arm. Can somebody please just like put a Band-Aid on the cut? And in our time working together, we're kind of near the end of her standard arc around the time that she went on mat leave. Those goals, I think, really matured from, I'm in so much pain, this sucks, to how can I put myself first, right? What are the priorities that I have for myself and my goals as a person, not just me and my role in this track to promotion.
Yeah.
And this theme of really understanding how fear plays into that was really important for me with Maria. Had a lot of breakthroughs there. And as of now, I'm still at Amazon, but I'm on a mini sabbatical for about 12 weeks, of which I have about 7 weeks left of, for the sole purpose of just healing some burnout. It was really through Maria's work that I was like, hey, Amazon, I'm tired and I'm going to take a break. Yeah. And that's it. I'm going to take a break. And when I go back, I'm going to be at this really interesting crossroads of either continuing with Amazon toward this promotion track or like interviewing other places. And I'm really working hard on making myself the full-time job first, and then seeing how the career supports that with this fork in the road.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great. So essentially I think what you're saying, Michelle, is that you're using your burnout as the mirror that it really is, as the opportunity that it really is to reflect on, right? Okay, wait a minute. Maybe it's not the job. Maybe it's not Amazon. Maybe it's my automatic way of thinking and feeling and behaving in my life that then creates my burnout, overwhelm, dissatisfaction.
Yeah. How do I respond to my environment based off of what my needs and wants are?
Okay. And with regards to that, what have you learned on this sabbatical about how you want to respond to your needs moving forward?
So it's really helped me to get a clear and crisp list of what is my set of priorities in life. Because I think if we were to sit down in the midst of like the career chaos, be like, what are your priorities? A lot of us would be like, family, then work, and da 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 da. I think it's really helped me to very black and white be like, my health, like mental health, number one, period, the end. Then family, then myself, and then even like in the micro doses, like my sleep, then my diet, then my meditation, then blah 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 blah. And I don't think I would have had the space to be able to reflect on those things during work. And one of my goals is, as I go back into work, which just tries to pull everything from you.
Yes.
Particularly in my field of work in big tech, like it's not unique to big tech, but like famously known in big tech that they try to squeeze all of the juice out of the orange that they possibly can. How can I stay hold of what do I want? What are my priorities? I actually have Maria in my head right now. Those are one of the questions that she asked in our last few sessions. Like, yeah, but what do you want, Michelle? Like, can you just say what you want in this case? Instead of like fear of this consequence, fear of this result, da, 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 da. So I'm really excited to learn what's important in a way that I've been able to live it.
Yes. Okay, great. So a lot of similarities, right? I mean, I guess that's why you're drawn to this group is you're all feeling the burnout of losing yourselves and losing what's important to you. And, you're all wanting to really understand, how do I stay true to me? How do I stay in, what's really my authentic self and my authentic expression so that I can, really design a life that first and foremost honors and respects and takes care of me. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and Liz. Maybe can you maybe not join hold on, let's see, she's okay. All right, Liz might not, maybe you might just be on listen, and that's okay.
I think that's that's my calling number. That's me twice. So we don't have Liz today.
We don't have Liz today. Oh, got it. Okay, I thought maybe that was Liz. Okay, so Liz will hopefully join some other week. Okay. All right, guys. So let's first just start by looking at your internal narratives. Okay, your internal thoughts. We could even look at your emotions, right? When you think about setting boundaries, making space to do the things that you want to do, being a leader, being able to show up powerfully with whomever it is that you're interacting with in your job. Okay. Saying no, right? What do you think are the narratives up here in your mind that get in the way? And let's just like popcorn it.
I developed a thought pattern. So right before my sabbatical and during the time that I worked with Maria, I was on a promotion track. And by that, at my work, there's like a process to it. You have to write a doc that speaks to your promotion. So there's like these little steps that you need to accomplish, and it's very formulaic in that way. And every time a situation came up where I had to maybe delay a deliverable or say no to an ask or something like that, the little ghost thought following me around was, are they gonna think that I'm not ready for my promotion because I do X? Is this perceived failure, so that's my own characterization of it, going to compromise this promo track that I'm on? And I think it's designed in that way, the track, that it's like always around you. So it's supposed to influence your behavior because they're watching what you do in this very systematic way. So every action was either positive or negative toward that effect.
Okay. So when you say, Michelle, every action was either positive or negative, is another way of saying that either my actions were perfect in the sense that they were for sure going to think that I'm ready, I'm accomplished, I'm more than good enough. So, and if there's the potential that they don't, then that's the negative. Like that's unacceptable.
Yeah, that's an accurate way of seeing it. It's either concrete evidence or it's sucky, bad, insufficient, not good enough, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Do you guys hear the perfectionism in that? I mean, right? Either. So, and see if you can see yourselves. Because listen, I would never label myself as a perfectionist, right? I don't right? I don't have the perfect house and I don't do, right? I'm not that way. And yet I have a narrative that I have to pay attention to and shine a spotlight on that says, okay, either everything I do ensures that everybody thinks I'm powerful and everybody thinks I'm awesome and everybody, right, gets value or right, whatever it is. So it's either here or right here is total shit. Can you guys see yourselves in that? Okay, so Megan, no, Michelle, sorry, I'm going to stick with you. I'll get to Megan and Sam in a moment, but okay, are they going to think I am a failure? Are they going to think I'm not ready? Are they going to think my actions are enough? Is that something that, looking back in the history of your life, it has shown up before?
Oh, totally.
Okay. So would you say this is something that's been around you for forever?
Yeah. Even culturally, like this is a pretty strong archetype.
Yeah.
I come from Korean culture, and that's like famously the case in Asian American kids. It's like you either get an A or you failed. Like there's that stereotype has some truth to it, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm like, perfectionism, it's like in our blood.
Absolutely. Okay. So really what you're talking about is kind of needing to reparent yourself.
Yeah.
In your adult life, right? Okay. So I'm going to just briefly share with you the acronym of the MIND method. Okay. So the M step stands for meet your inner critic. Okay. Now, when I talk about the inner critic, I don't just talk about the voice that says, you're not enough, you're not okay, there's something wrong with you, you're right, you need to be more of this and less of that. Okay. It is on the flip side, if we look at the other side of the pendulum, your inner critic voice is also the voice that says, yay, you got a great review, or you reach that goal, or your bosses think you're awesome. Look, I really am enough. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's the issue with this. If our identity, right, like Michelle was talking about, is rooted in, if they think I'm awesome, I'm great. If they don't, I suck. Then this is where burnout comes from, right? You guys are very highly successful, accomplished women. And I want you to notice that you have all gotten very, very far in life. But here's the issue. The minute that you feel on top of the world because you hit a goal, or you got a promotion, or you got to where you wanted to be, what happens after that? What do you guys see?
I'm laughing because I went to a psychic. This is like the exact feedback that she gave me one time. She was like, so when you climb the ladder and you're at the top of the ladder and you're there, then what? And I'm like, don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is really super important, what Sam is pointing to, okay? Because it may be, now this is, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here, but it may be that the very thing that was your winning formula or winning strategy from the time you were little girls, like Michelle's pointing to, right? When she brought home that A, man, I'll bet that felt really good. Okay. So at one time in our life, the winning strategy that we created when we were very little girls, right, felt really good. Doesn't feel so good anymore. Right? Now it's causing burnout. And now the very thing that starts to show up is, okay, but wait a minute. If I start saying, right, just who said before, Michelle, if I delay a deliverable, if I set a boundary, if I say no, they're going to think I'm not good enough. Right? So this constant, right? You think about the hamster on the hamster wheel, this constant chase to get them, collective them, starting with parents, right? Then it could be teachers, then it could be peers, right? We had the teenage version of this and the young adult version of this, and now we're projecting that onto could be our bosses, could be our clients, right? If you're a mother, could be other moms. They need to think I'm awesome. They need to think I've got my shit all together. And then we wonder how we lose ourselves. So this is real, right? There's a lot of discomfort in that. Okay. So I'm sorry. I was talking about the mind method. So the M is to really see clearly, like Michelle was pointing at, what is that automatic voice saying? The I step is to investigate the indication signs. I call those the blinking red light that alerts you that your automatic mind has taken over, right? That automatic narrative. They're going to think I'm not enough. They're going to think I'm not ready. They're going to think I don't have what it takes. How do you guys, like, what are the emotions, the body sensations, and the behaviors that you can see, not just inside of work, but in your entire life, that would be sort of the blinking red lights that would alert you that that inner critic mind has taken over?
So like come down to like the ego, like being able to distinguish between thoughts of like shoulds, coulds type things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't call it your ego, I call it your inner critic mind. It's probably similar, but the distinction is, right, if we think about ego, that's a part of us. And what I want you guys to start understanding is that you are actually separate from your conditioned mind. Right? In fact, one of the things that I talk about with the people that I work with is giving that inner critic a separate name, right? A name that fits her. Because here's the thing, guys, she will always be there. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are never getting rid of her. Every time, right? See, here's the issue with life. We get to the top of the mountain, and then immediately after we get to the top of the mountain, we're at the bottom of the next mountain. Right? So you may think, oh, once I get that promotion, then everything will be handled. She's just going to be there screaming at you about the next thing, that you're not good enough and that you need to be more of, or you need to be less of, or you need to fix this, or you need to change that, or you need to do something. So it's not, how do we change that voice? How do we stop her from saying what she's said to us every single day of our life since we've been about 5? It's like, can't do that. But if we can really actually get so intimately familiar with her, if we can lean into, right, not out of judgment, but out of curiosity, what does she say to me? And how do I know when she's speaking to me? What are the body sensations and the emotions and the behaviors, right? Some of it is overcompensating behaviors, right? Like, I think, right, Sam, you said, like, I don't set boundaries and I work too much and I don't make the things that are important to me a priority and I'm off balance. There's the blinking red lights. Those are the indication signs right there. I've been hijacked by my automatic mind that says, if I set the boundaries, say no, do the things, right? They will think, the collective they will think that I'm not enough. Guys see that? Anybody else have any blaring indication signs?
I'm thinking of two things. One is sort of when the voice starts saying things like always or never, like, you never wake up early enough, or like you're always unprepared when you show up for this meeting. And then I think the other thing that I also do is I have a lot, Maria's helped me realize that I have a lot of like sort of like like I deprive myself of things, like I like won't eat, or like I won't eat lunch, or I like won't go to the bathroom, and I just like feel so uncomfortable in my body. It's like I just like deprive myself of doing human things.
Yeah. Yeah. Megan, what do you think is underneath that?
Mhm.
What's the fear that's underneath that for you?
I really struggle with like conflict, or like it's like negative feedback, but I'm sort of training myself to just be like, it's just feedback, it's not negative or positive, it's just feedback. But I mean, I think it goes back to like when I was a kid and like grew up, and like we didn't really talk about anything conflicty. Everything was sort of fine all the time, even when it wasn't fine. I mean, in general, my childhood was fine, but like, like nothing stressful, like no stressful conversations among the family. And so now I feel like I have a hard time letting myself be comfortable when I feel like there's some unresolved conflict, like in my business unit. Like, and I have like 130 people who are showing up to work every day. I can't control what everyone's doing. Someone is in a bad mood and said something sort of rude, and then it like comes back to me, and I'm like, how can I be comfortable right now if like people are upset, like out there, in my shop, like, not everything is good. How can I be good?
Yeah. So, okay. So here, this is so great. So the automatic narrative, okay, which is like so automatic that it's like as transparent as the air you breathe. You don't even, right? We don't even know that we're in our automatic mind. Okay. But so what is just on autopilot for you, Megan, and right, you guys might want to see for yourselves what your autopilot is. But for Megan, it's like, I've got to control other people's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And if I can figure out how to control their behaviors, that's what's going to make me feel okay. I mean, that is literally like standing on the street corner with a fan trying to control the direction of the wind. Uh-oh. Oh, sorry. All of a sudden, I thought I lost you guys. You there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So you can imagine, right? If we're looking at how Megan like literally wakes up every day into what am I gonna right? Okay.
It's like, who's going to be unhappy today? I mean, I always say like the surgeon's compliment is no complaint. So like, I know I'm doing a good job. Like if no one's complaining, then like things are fine.
Yeah.
Surgeons are difficult to work with.
And let's be clear, like, look at how many people you're managing, right? So here's the crazy thing. We subconsciously put ourselves in careers that bring us front and center with the very thing that we need to heal. And then we wonder why we're so stressed out and so burnt out and so depleted. We don't see it. Right? Okay, so there is the end step of the mind method. Neutralize the never-ending message. So the never-ending message, and we can talk about this a little bit so that you can all find yours, right? But the never ending message for Megan is, if somebody's upset, there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
Which then basically just translates into, there's something wrong with me. Does that land for you, Megan? Or does it feel like I don't want to put that narrative in right? I want it to come from you. What does it feel like for you?
Yeah, I think that's totally on point.
Yeah. So,
and it's interesting what you said about, because when I moved, before I was in this role, I was in a project management role, which it was a lot of wins, like people loved the project. I just felt like I was getting this like dopamine hit like all the time. And then I moved to this director role and I was like, my entire day is engaging in conflict driven like discussions. Like that is what this job is
yeah.
Everyone has a different opinion. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, like healthcare is broken, and so like imagine all the problems that we have, like nothing's like, anyways, it's been a whole sort of journey to sort of like understand what the job of the director is and how like those wins don't come in the same frequency that they do in other sorts of jobs, and like how can I still be like okay?
Yes.
Um
Okay. So now we're getting into another concept that I like to talk about, called your inner critic's addictions. Okay. So if we look at traditional addiction model, right? If somebody's addicted to drugs, if somebody's addicted to alcohol, somebody's addicted, right? Really what they're doing is that substance is either making them feel really good or numbing them out to some pain. Okay. So what Megan's saying, right? Her inner critic addiction is needing other people to feel good and to reflect that back to her. She even said herself, dopamine hit. She gets high, literally, right?
Not anymore. There is no, not in this job.
But that's the thing, right? So if we look at both sides of that,
yeah,
you might be missing your drug, baby.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, okay, maybe I need to leave this role. Maybe I need to go find another job that's going to give me more dopamine hits. Which has you then dependent on external factors for your value, because your inner critic is literally a bottomless pit. Doesn't matter how much of the drug you get, she will never be satisfied. So part of distinguishing the never-ending message is, right? What is my inner critic addicted to? And it doesn't just show up in our careers.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever she's addicted to, it shows up in your intimate relationships. If you're a mother, it shows up in your relationship with your children, it shows up in your relationship with your parents, it shows up everywhere. Does this make sense? What are you guys, what's opening up for you guys? What are you seeing about all of this, about your never-ending message?
Just feel like it's like chasing something. It's so interesting because I feel the same exact way. It's like chasing a high that like is never going to satisfy you long term.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like never going to be what you think it's going to be.
Yes.
And then it leaves you like I think about this is like unrelated, but like my weight gain during COVID. And I'm like, well, if I just got back to the weight that I was before COVID, like everything would be fine. And I'm like, I know that's not true.
Right.
I know that's not the case.
That's
but
right.
it's like something to like pinpoint my frustration on.
That's right. Yeah, it's great. That's great, Sam. In other words, I need to fix or change that external circumstance.
Yeah, it's like but it's like constantly like chasing it. And then when it happens, it's kind of like, oh, well, that's not really, it's like on to the next thing that I need to chase.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, this is why, if we're talking about burnout, this is why, a lot of really powerful women will keep leaving or finding the next. Right. And, not to say, listen, I mean, there could be, things that are, happening, in your, the culture of your, of your job that you might need to leave. But it's when we can really ground ourselves in what I call a rewired mind. And the rewired mind is entirely different thoughts like, first and foremost, I already am enough. I already am whole. I don't need these people to think I'm successful, accomplished, smart, professional, have it handles. I don't need other humans, any other humans, to determine my value. But that's really hard because particularly as women, we've been conditioned since we've been itty bitty bitty babies. Men too. It's our, a lot of it is, right? I know, Megan, you said it's the Korean culture, right? Which is a whole other set of, a whole other layers, but it's the culture we've all, lived in for hundreds of years, literally given to us. Yeah. So here's kind of how you use the mind method. Okay. You start to get familiar with your own indication signs. Okay. And it could be just like really starting to lean into, with curiosity, what does it feel like when I feel like I'm not enough? What does it look like when I'm afraid that somebody else thinks I'm not enough? What does it really feel like when I'm, focused on other people's judgments and opinions? And you just really start to, you kind of start to get curious about it. What does it feel like in my chest or my stomach or my shoulders, right? What maybe I might want to go and eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, or maybe I might snap at my significant other or my kids or the guy that just cut me off in traffic, right? Maybe I just want to come home and put my hair up in a ponytail and take my bra off and get into bed and binge watch Netflix, right? Or scroll on my phone for hours, right? These are all indication signs that in some way we're swallowed. And the more that we lean in and actually start to get curious about it, we can start to distinguish, oh, I see her. I see what she's convincing me of. I see how she's having me overfunction and overcompensate and take things personally and try to control things that I have no control over. Right? And so this is a practice, glimpse by glimpse by glimpse by glimpse. We get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger at distinguishing it. In that moment, that's how we can unhook from it. So we just have a few minutes left. Okay, if you're standing in the mind that says, I already am whole and I already am enough, what can you be grateful for right now?
One thing I feel like I'm never grateful for is like myself. Even though I literally do everything. So it's like I don't express gratitude for just like if I'm standing in like my whole self, right? It's like always like external things when I think about gratitude. Like, oh, I'm so grateful for my mom sending me like a sweet text, or I'm so grateful for my dog for being sweet today. But I never am like, oh, I'm really grateful for myself for pushing through this when like shit got really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Sam, let's just stay there for a moment, just for a moment. So when you lean into feeling gratitude for really being your whole self and what you're working on and what you've pushed through, can you describe what that energy feels like inside your body when you lean into that gratitude?
Well, it's funny, I don't know if you caught it, but when you said the like sentence, I just like got like body chills, like when you were like explaining it.
Yeah.
Mostly because I do my meditation and my gratitude practice every morning. And like, I never think about it within myself, I guess.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I want you guys, Michelle and Megan, I want you to just see this because Sam just illustrated something so beautifully. Okay. So if you're in your automatic mind is always looking for what's not enough and what you have to fix and what you have to change and what you have to control, right? That's autopilot. It literally took her a few seconds just right there, and you saw it, to lean into a very conscious and deliberate thought and focus on gratitude for herself. And it was an immediate energetic shift inside her body. You get that? And I want you guys to think about if you were practicing, just like you build a muscle in your body, if you were practicing, oh, there's my automatic mind. I'm going to unhook from it and I'm going to step into this thought. I have nothing to prove. I have gratitude for who I am. I have gratitude for the life I'm currently living. And just kind of leaning into how that shift in thought changes everything. And if you could do that more on an ongoing basis. So what do you guys think that would be like to actually be operating from a new mind? Doesn't mean you're getting rid of the old. She's always there. But the access to that new mind, what would change?
I think there'd be more celebration of the self, which can really unlock joy. So one thing I just journaled in the background here is, so the thought that I had, and Sam, you really helped unlock this for me. The thought that I had is like, well, I'm grateful for how capable I am. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to feel. But then the critic was like, no, 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 be grateful for your family or your husband or something else. And that whole conversation really helped me to like feel as if I had permission to like lean into that self-gratitude.
Yes.
And what I wrote in my little journal here is that I am capable of being happy and whole just as much as I am capable of accomplishing anything else.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
think really focusing on like, I am grateful for my ability to have all of these good things, can really like mentally pave the way for that joy that we're chasing after.
That's right. That's beautiful, Michelle, because it's not about getting the joy out there. It's about cultivating it right here, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely not getting the joy from the client, the promo, the whatever, right?
That's right. Beautiful. Awesome. Awesome. Megan, how about for you?
I'm actually thinking about an example from this morning because there's a once a meeting, like on once a month onboarding thing that happens, and it's pretty early. It's like 7:45 a.m. in the morning, and I actually just usually don't even log in because I don't have childcare until 8:30 or 9, and like my husband's out of town, so like I usually just am like, nah, I'm not going. But this morning, for whatever reason, I decided to log in from my kitchen, and immediately my inner critic was like, "This is a bad idea. Like you're the only person not in the office. Like how unprofessional. Your dog's like jump in and like." Like you're saying hi to all these new people. And so I think if I were to just like I wanted to be there, like I have a bunch of people starting in my team, and like it's a minute. I just wanted to like drop in and say hello. And if I could just like not let the inner critic run over, I think I would actually just be the same circumstance that caused me stress. I would just be grateful for what my circumstance was, which was I can call into this meeting from my kitchen.
Yeah.
How cool.
How cool.
It's only 1 minute. Like, why would you want to be in the office at 7:30 in the morning for a 1 minute meeting? That's stupid.
Yeah. 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 It's like I think what you're pointing to is the freedom, right? That you would feel just, right? Instead of like this constriction, like just, really like excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Awesome. Okay. Well, I see that we are out of time. What's one thing that each of you are taking away from today that you can like actually consciously think about until our next meeting?
It's so funny because immediately when you said that, I was like, I'm gonna go take a break. And then my inner critic was like, you don't have time for that right now. It's like, oh, we're already going back through that again.
But you saw it was your inner critic and not you, right?
Yeah, totally.
I love it. I love it. Yep. That's great.
I need to give her a name. That's like my name. I like immediately the name came to me. It was like Felicia, because then I could just be like, bye, Felicia. Like peace out. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then also too, just like having grace with myself. I feel like it's like really impulsive when a bad feeling happens and then I layer on like something that I should be doing. And I don't like see through the entire, I wish I could like zoom out and like see my body and my thought process is like separate from myself to like be aware that I'm doing it, but like I don't. So I think just like having the awareness of like what's really going on is helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Great. Awesome. Who else?
I think I'm going to carry through this practice / idea of like inward focused gratitude versus external gratitude. I think there's value in both of those things, but we rarely practice the first, and that's a muscle to build.
Yeah, that's great. Beautiful. Megan, how about for you?
I think for me, it's sort of thinking more about like what I have when I think about I am whole and I am enough, so like leaning more into that side.
Yeah.
And exploring what that does or brings for me.
That's great. Great. All right. This is awesome. If you have any interest in looking at my book, it outlines the mind method in its whole entirety and with exercises and things like that. It's called Dethroning Your Inner Critic. You can find that on Amazon or also on Audible. And then I also have a podcast by the same name, Dethroning Your Inner Critic. So if that's of interest to you, you can check that out. Wonderful. And I will see you ladies same time next week, right?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, hopefully Liz will join us. Okay, great
Thank
to meet you
you.
guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.